Hi, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Prime Sports World. I am your host, Israel Rivera, here with my TJ Hopkins. I was gonna say my man, Christian Simpson. I better not be disrespectful starting up on this.
Forgot my name.
I
Wow.
know, right? Anyways, man, happy Halloween to everybody, man. Hopefully, you guys didn't freeze your, what off, how trick or treating with your kids or whatever the case is. But anyways, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast here at Prime Sports World, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And in case you missed us, you can catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard. But TJ, what is going on this happy Halloween? Hopefully, you got some drink in you.
I
I
just
need some
finished
drink in
one,
me.
actually.
He's but yeah, man. Yeah, what a game. Let's start off talking about these Raiders and Lions on Thursday Night Football.
Yes, sir.
Was it Monday Night Football? Yeah, man. Detroit Lions 26-14 beating the Raiders. Jimmy Garoppolo 10 to 21, 126 yards. Not a good performance by him, one interception. But then on the other side, Jared Goff 26 to 37, 272 yards. Very lukewarm start, but it was all about the Jahmyr Gibbs show. 26 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown. It was pretty much his coming out party. Thoughts on this game, TJ?
Um,
I haven't done a show with just me and you in a long time.
no, I think last time it was just me and you. We did the 49ers preview.
Yeah, it was such a long
yeah.
time.
I They made it interesting. The Raiders did for a second once they got that. Once Marcus Peters got that pick six, and that kind of made things interesting because it's like, it's one score. We're back in this. We got a little momentum. Right? They kind of had free will moving that ball up and down the field up until that point, right? Jared Goff, since he's been in Detroit, has relatively been turnover free. This you can probably count on both hands, maybe one hand, the amount of interceptions he's thrown since being traded to Detroit. I think after suffering that loss to Baltimore, that was kind of eye opening for them. You get your first Monday night game in 5 years. It's a long time, right? The first Monday night primetime game in 5 years, and you didn't disappoint. But again, this is coming off an embarrassing loss to the Baltimore Ravens, where folks are having you say, hey, you could be in the Super Bowl, you can win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl, and then you get steamrolled by Baltimore, and then you come out and basically assert your dominance against the Raiders. And I don't think I've ever seen Devontae Adams that visibly angry,
Mm-hmm.
like at any point in his life. Like I don't know how angry he was dealing with. I'm not even gonna say he was angry at the Packers. I more so think he was more so angry at Aaron Rodgers with the whole I'm retiring, I'm retiring, no, I'm coming back, which is kind of why he forced his way out of Green Bay, because it's like, yo, I'm not gonna hinge my future on your decision making. Like either say you're here or I'm gone. And this, but it's gotten to a point where folks are like literally begging the Raiders. They were begging the Raiders to trade Devontae Adams
I don't blame him.
they're wasting him. Like they're wasting him. They're wasting Max Crosby. They're wasting Josh Jacobs. Nate Hot. You got players over there. Like you have a first round tight end and which one they got? Mayer, right?
Michael Mayer. Yeah, Michael Mayer was a second rounder.
You got you got a
First round grade though. He was a first round grade.
First round. You got a young tight end and Michael Mayer, who is supposed to be the lead tight end on this team, yet Austin Hooper is the one getting all the reps and catching all the balls and whatnot. I want to say he was our leading receiver yesterday. I don't have the stats in front of me.
Not to mention, this is what the Raiders wanted. This is what Josh McDaniel wanted, right? He wanted Jimmy Garoppolo. He didn't get along with Derek Carr. They shipped Derek Carr out. And by the looks of it, I know Derek Carr's had his struggles in New Orleans, but at least Derek Carr had some zip on the ball down the field. At least Derek Carr could, those two passes to Devontae Adams that where he was wide open, Derek Carr would have hit him on the money and in stride and probably would have had a touchdown. Devontae Adams wouldn't have this type of bad start to the year. And I don't know what happened because he started off the year strong, but I mean, just as Jimmy was just kind of hasn't been playing the last few weeks, just kind of getting off that injury, been injured. It just seems like they just are not on the same page. Going back to Jared Goff, though, since he's become a Lion, I know that first year was kind of, the first year was not that good. Last year was coming up, but he's thrown 60 touchdowns to 20 interceptions since he's been a Detroit Lion. That's a 3-to-1 ratio, folks.
And what's the record? 14-6 since
I
week
mean,
9?
in the last 2 years, I mean, he's been money the last 2 years. I think 2 losses this season, 6 wins. Last year was 10 wins last year, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
so he's
I think since like week 7 or something, dating back to last year, they're like 14-6.
Yeah. Since week 7, they're like 14-6 or something like that. But I mean, he's been money, man. I mean, the last 2 years, like you said, man, he's thrown 41 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. I mean, that's pretty damn good if you ask me. When it comes down to it, but I mean, like you said, man, the Raiders are wasting some of this talent that is on the field, and I mean, it's neither here or there. I mean, the defense was keeping them in the game all game.
Yeah, they played phenomenal. You couldn't ask them to play. I mean, you could have, but eventually, we see this with any team that plays good defense for a game. Eventually, when the offense doesn't reciprocate, the defense eventually does. It cracks, and Jahmyr Gibbs went for damn near 200. Like Jahmyr Gibbs had a career day.
I mean, even Craig Reynolds had 75 yards. Craig Reynolds was having a day too. I mean, they were smoking him 5.2 a carry on the day. And I'll say this, man, about the Detroit Lions. I think the only knock on them is probably, this is where they miss David Montgomery because they love to run the football in the red zone. I think the red zone offense could be a little bit better. And also like turnovers, right? Marcus Peters getting that pick 6. They are prone to turnovers a little bit this season, whether that's fumbling the football because Craig Reynolds fumbled the ball as well in the red zone. And obviously on top of the fact that Jared Goff threw a pick. So, I mean, that's only one thing. And also, I speak to a lot of Lions faithful, they wish that, they can get a little bit better in the secondary. But, I mean, from what I looked at it, I mean, they were looking – they were pretty much looking pretty good last night in the secondary. Besides those 2-3 plays that Devontae Adams was wide open and Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't hit him. So yeah, I think for week 8, man, that closes the book. I mean, yeah, the Raiders. I mean, they're in a tough division. I mean, they're not going anywhere. I think on this trade deadline they should have. There was no way, like Adam Schefter said earlier, there's no way in hell that they were going to trade Devontae Adams in that contract. I think he's making like 27 point something mil a year, over 27 mil a season. And he's definitely worth a first round pick, but I mean, it's no team's going to take on that salary at all. So, but yeah, I think the Raiders should have been some sellers. I mean, should have, maybe traded away, Max Crosby, see if they could get some, first round, second round pick or something like that.
Should have got a haul if they put Max Crosby on the
something. They should have been something. They should have been sellers at the trade deadline because this season's going nowhere. I think, yeah, even Josh Jacobs. I mean, Josh Jacobs was looking for that contract. I mean,
he got it, but obviously it wasn't the one that he wanted. But
right? No, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, I mean, the Raiders are what they are. I mean, they're going to play tough football defensively, but offensively, it's just. I mean, they have a banged up makeshift offensive line. They're one of the more dysfunctional offenses in football at the moment. But that closes week 8. Moving on. Oh, David, I didn't even see these messages. So who's your game ball of the week?
Who's my game ball? I mean, it's kind of hard to go against Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, you have a career, like you're a rookie, you have a career day. Yeah, it's kind of Jahmyr Gibbs. Have a day.
I'm actually gonna give my game ball to Will Levis.
That's fair. That's not a
Yeah,
bad.
Will Levis came in first career start, threw 4 touchdown passes against the Falcons. Got his first win. He looks like he in his NFL debut. Looks like the quarterback. I mean, with Will Levis, playing good quarterback play, it opened up the running game for Derrick Henry. 22 carries, 101 yards. Finally saw some life out of DeAndre Hopkins. 4 receptions, 128 yards, 3 touchdowns. If I
All
had to
three.
get another second game ball, all 3 from Will Levis. If I had to give another second game ball, probably would be the DeAndre Hopkins because of how well he played in that game as well. So so that'll be my game ball is to Will Levis. Shout out, young man, for winning your debut. Moving on to week 9, closing out week number 8 as we start off with the same team, the Tennessee Titans, going into Pittsburgh to face the Steelers. Will Levis is coming up, like we said, with Will Levis just coming off his NFL debut win, going up against Kenny Pickett, who hasn't been great this year. 5 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Maybe those conversations are starting to be heard in Pittsburgh if he is the man or not. But needless to say, how do you see this one shaking out?
Hopefully Will Levis is the man going forward. Everyone's saying the same things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to see Tannehill anymore. I don't. You don't need to see Tannehill no more. Will Levis should be the man from this point on until he shows you that he can't play this game for whatever reasons. Those conversations about Kenny Pickett low-key started when they drafted him. Like it was not a secret that he was just a full-out welcome pick because he grew up in your backyard. Like you saw him for 4 years. The Steelers and the University of Pittsburgh share a practice facility, they share a weight room and all the other good stuff. When you walk in, Pitt students went one way, Steelers players went the other way, and so they basically saw Kenny Pickett every day for 4 years, basically. The one thing I gotta see is your best receiver cannot go the whole game with just one catch, albeit that catch is for a touchdown. You can't go the whole game giving George Pickens just one catch. That's terrible. And that's on Matt Canada. Give me the Steelers.
Yeah, no.
Give me the Titans.
Yeah, give me. I'm gonna say, man, give me the Titans as well, man. I like what I saw of Will Levis. I mean, he's got a live arm. I don't think Minka Fitzpatrick is gonna even play in this game as well. He's out. He's on the injury report. But going back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, this is one of the storylines. Are they so much better? I mean, I know we saw Mitch Trubisky come in the game. Are they even better with Kenny Pickett? Or you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like it's like basically right now they're the same quarterback in my opinion.
Same quarterback. No,
same quarterback. I mean,
they're the same quarterback.
Yeah.
I think it goes back. Everything goes back to coaching, right? When you got guys you got the game against the Ravens, right? When they came back and won that, when they stole that one, the game went and played like the deep ball that Pickett threw to Pickens. That was an audible. Matt Canada called something completely different, and when you see the footage of the play going on as it's happening, Matt Canada's not excited. He's not showing any emotion. And like that just led to speculation of that's not what I called. He audibled out of my play. He changed it to something different when in any situation, the OC of any team is going nuts that his young quarterback just made a move like that and it led to them winning the game. Not Matt Canada. You got another video of I think it was either the kicker or the punter after another game they won. Matt Canada celebrating the win and on their way to the locker room, and that player goes, "It sure as shit wasn't because of you." Like, bro,
that's for sure. That is for sure. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, man. I think that Matt Canada is A big
He's an
problem
issue.
with the offense. He's definitely an issue. I mean, he's definitely stymied the development of Kenny Pickett, and I mean, we'll see, how everything shakes down. But yeah, I do think that when you look at the big picture, I think that Kenny Pickett, those conversations are to be had, man. I mean, Kenny Pickett is it hasn't been performing, and whether it's an OC problem or not, his development just hasn't been there. But I mean, it can go also with the offensive line having a young receiver core. Deontay Johnson hasn't played well. They haven't been able to get the running game going with Najee Harris. So it's a whole combination of things on offense, and hopefully they can turn it around. But I don't think they turn it around Thursday night against the Titans, because I do think that Derrick Henry will run a little wild on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next game we have up on the slate is the Frankfurt games. Yes, as the Miami Dolphins play the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, was it 8:30 a.m.? I'll definitely be up for that game. Definitely be up for that game. But we have a game between two of the, I'm gonna say this. Two of the more premier quarterbacks in the league. You got one guy who's probably one of the front runners for MVP, and Tua Tagovailoa. You have a guy in Patrick Mahomes who's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. But both of these teams, when we look at Miami, much better fluid offense. And when we look at Kansas City, they have some struggles offensively. Definitely outside of Kelsey and outside of whoever their wide receiver core is just ill. Kelsey. And then and then we got the storyline of Tyreek Hill playing Kansas City, his old former team as well. So lots of storylines in this game. How do you see this one shaking out?
I was I was mad you couldn't join this yesterday, because I was hoping you would pop in for the.
About Pat Mahomes?
Yeah, I was hoping you would join in for that one, man. But it's cool. Okay. So if you're the Dolphins, this is the third chance, right? This is the third chance of playing top tier talent, somebody that can match you tit for tat, someone that can hang in with y'all. They have the defensive front to make Tua's life a bit rough, right? Chris Jones is a handful, right? The other two, we already know what happened. The other two times you played top tier talent, you've lost both games. You got blitzed. You got punched in the mouth by Buffalo. You lost to Philly. So you cannot allow this to be a 3 strikes and you're out, because this is basically a first seed in the AFC game. This type of game determines that. Like, who's gonna have home field advantage in the AFC throughout the AFC, and I'm pretty sure the Dolphins would rather folks come to them come January than they go to cold places like Kansas City. So they gotta go. They cannot allow this to be this is our third time facing some competition, some real competition, and we don't look like a football team. Y'all can't play Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde when it comes to the level of competition.
I totally agree with you on that, man. I think that the Miami Dolphins, they've been able to beat on some bad teams, but against the premier teams, like you said, Buffalo, Philadelphia, they look pretty average. I think against more physical teams that are more physical in the trenches, it took Raheem Mostert a little ways to start to get going in that Philly game until probably third quarter he came out. Well, he ran for negative yards in the first half, and then the third quarter he kind of woke up a little bit. Kind of similar thing in Buffalo. Albeit it was an early game, and Devin Achane wasn't playing. And he's a hell of a weapon, but he's only a rookie.
Right.
So you didn't expect him to come out. So it's neither null and void there. But at the same time, I do think that you're right, man. They do need to come out and they need to win. This is on neutral field, neutral territory, and I think having Jalen Ramsey back is big. He had an interception last week. That's huge. Against the Kansas City Chiefs.
And now the real question is, do you give him that that big of a responsibility coming out the gate. It's the second game back. Jalen Ramsey's one of the few dudes that you can line up across from Travis Kelce and make it literally a 50-50 situation where if Kelce wins, it's like, hey, he's Kelce. And if Jalen Ramsey wins, it's like, hey, that's J Ram. Right? Because if I'm Miami, I'm legit looking at that Bronco game, and I'm like, hey,
man,
nobody else has shown that they can beat us other than Kelce.
Yeah, nobody. They were down. They were down. 14-9 going into the half, and then in the fourth quarter, and a lot of the, and this is where I'm going to go back and I'm going to kind of criticize a little bit of Patrick Mahomes. He threw 2 interceptions. He lost the fumble in that game. He accounted for 3 turnovers in that game, and it's like sometimes we forget that Patrick Mahomes has been. And they had 5 altogether, and I'm not going to put the loss solely on him against a bad Denver team, especially on the road. I think Denver actually picked it up and actually played up to their potential, which we thought they would, as how that defense is on paper. But at the same time, it's like this. I mean, sometimes we kind of miss the fact, because he's been such a poster boy for the NFL. We miss the fact that sometimes this guy Patrick Mahomes, when he has bad games, we don't criticize him enough sometimes. Yeah, and him and Josh Allen and a lot of guys. I mean, but as some other quarterbacks, Russell Wilson gets a lot of flack for playing bad, and rightfully so.
Ever since he's been in Denver.
But catches hell. Jalen Hurts catches hell anytime he has a bad game. Lamar Jackson catches hell every time he has a ball game. And I'm not trying to play any race card or anything like that, because I mean that's either here or there. But I'm thinking, what I'm saying is that because of the success that he's had as a Super Bowl quarterback, we tend to forget, hey man, this guy he's digressed this season alone,
right.
and it's because And look at Aaron Rodgers, right? I look at Aaron Rodgers and the greatness of Aaron Rodgers, right? He made those wide receivers better. Even if they're veteran wide receivers, he made those wide receivers who they were. Jordy Nelson, James Jones, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams. He made those guys were no first round picks. He made those guys, Pro Bowl guys. He made those guys good players. Right, and I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes. It's like, well, does he need the card? Does he need the card stacked up to be a good quarterback? In this league.
No, like in some defenses, like we say with Lamar Jackson, we ain't gonna act like some of those throws weren't hitting his guys right in the hand. Like he had Sky Moore for a touchdown. Sky Moore dropped it. That being said, give me the Dolphins to win this one. I think they get off that snide against top tier talent, and they get one across the waters in Germany, and they beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, give me the Miami Dolphins as well, man. I think that they'll put a lot of pressure on Pat Mahomes. That they're gonna have to put the ball in Pat Mahomes' hand. I mean, that was gonna be right from the get go. I don't think that Isaiah Pacheco is they're not gonna get the ball running. I think when they're at their best, the Kansas City Chiefs is when Isaiah Pacheco is running the football well. I think when they do get the ground game going, because then that opens up Kelce, that opens up the play action pass, that opens up all the other guys downfield, MVS, Rashee Rice, even though I know he's a rookie. And I think one thing for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think getting McCole Hardman back in that trade from the Jets, I think that's going to be big. Having somebody that's that knows the system, knows Andy Reid's system. I think they're starting to incorporate him a little bit more in the offense. But with that being said, I think there's nobody that's just going to be there to check Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle's been playing great of late. Raheem Mostert has been running the football hard, especially the last game. Even though I think he'll take a step back. I mean, in running the football this week, I think that front seven is a little bit better than what we give him credit for. But yeah, definitely give me the Dolphins to win that football game overseas. Next game we got on the slate, the Josh Dobbs. The next game we got on the slate is the Minnesota. The Josh Dobbs, added to the Minnesota Vikings going into Atlanta to face the Falcons. And I say that, ladies and gentlemen, because Josh Dobbs was traded to the Minnesota Vikings.
However,
this week, I don't think he'll start.
No, they already announced Jaron Hall is getting his first
Hall start.
is getting his first NFL start.
Yeah, so he's gonna get a welcome to the NFL against a top 10 defense, arguably.
Well, former, like no Grady Jarrett. If Grady Jarrett's playing, then this kid's life would have been hell. I still expect it to be hell because I just don't see Jaren Hall, and this is no disrespect as an NFL quality quarterback. I also don't think that I don't know about this. What's the update with Desmond Ridder? But either way, Taylor Heineke is more than capable enough than winning this game for the Atlanta Falcons. So give me the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, man. Yeah, give me the Atlanta Falcons at home as well. Yeah, especially if Taylor Heineke is the guy and he is starting, which I do think he is going to start. I think that Arthur Smith and the company are looking at this and they're like, hey, look, we can win the NFC South. This thing is still up for grabs. And does Desmond Ridder give us the chance to do that to win the NFC? I don't think so. And I think they already had a midseason evaluation on him and they realized that he's not the guy. And they'll be looking for a quarterback possibly in the offseason. And I think that they'll ride with Taylor Heineke, and I think they'll ride Taylor Heineke all the way to, possibly, contending for the NFC South. I do think, Bijan Robinson, I think that was an outlier, him, having a bad game the previous week, before last week. He was sick and all. But once he started getting the touches, he got in the end zone and everything like that. So yeah, give me the Atlanta Falcons to make things tough on Jaren Hall this week. I know that the Minnesota Vikings, they're starting to, kind of get healthy. I think Justin Jefferson will be coming back here, in the next week or two, along Josh Dobbs. Once he gets caught up to speed with the offense, I think the Minnesota Vikings will try to make a playoff push as well. But yeah, Jaren Hall, he's a little erratic, and he's going to be a rookie. It's going to be a learning curve for him. But who knows? I mean, he may come out and be dynamite against the Atlanta Falcons. So we don't know. You don't have enough tape on him in the NFL. You only got tape on him from BYU. Next game, we got the Josh Dobbs Cardinals going up against the Cleveland Browns here. I don't even know who the hell. I don't even know who the hell is going to. I don't even know who the hell is going to be the quarterback for the Cardinals. Who's going to be the quarterback?
Clayton Tune.
Clayton Tune from Houston. Yeah, give me the Cleveland Browns. I don't even care who's the quarterback. I think PJ, it doesn't even matter who's the quarterback. Cleveland Browns are going to destroy the Arizona Cardinals defensively in this game. Then that brings up the next game, the Los Angeles Rams coming off that loss against the Dallas Cowboys. Shocking loss, by the way.
That was not shocking. That was not shocking.
In my opinion, it was. Really? The way they lost, it was.
Oh, because they got blown out.
Because they got blown out. I didn't expect them to get blown
out
like that.
At the end of the day, that was an example of hey, you're a good team. I ain't even say good. You're a decent team. You just don't have enough horses. That's exactly what that was, bro. It was close for a minute. It was close for a minute.
That game was not close, TJ. They was losing by 3-4 touchdowns first half.
That's what I'm like. Hey, a minute in our culture variates in time, bro. At one point in time, that was a one-score game, and then the Cowboys said, "Hey, let's stop effing playing and put the kids to bed, man." Come on.
Yeah. And then you got my Green Bay Packers. They were losers of 4 in a row.
Just traded away their second best corner. In my opinion, you might feel different about that because you're the Packer fan. I think the pecking order is Jair, then Rasul Douglas. Rasul Douglas is on his way to Buffalo.
Well, yeah. I mean, they still, still having Stokes there. Whatever, man. That defense, as long as Joe Barry's, TJ, as long as Joe Barry's there still, it doesn't matter, bro.
I forgot all about Eric Stokes. He's another one of those first-round picks that y'all use. I forgot all about it.
Look, man, as long as Joe, it doesn't matter, man. As long as Joe Barry's there, it doesn't matter. That defense is they're not. I can't even watch half of the ball game because I get so frustrated with how the defense plays week in, week out. They can't get off on third down. They can't finish. They can't complete a possession. He just caused real bad plays and bad situations. The defensive line, the front seven, just doesn't get enough pressure on quarterbacks. They let anybody do anything and everything to them. And then offensively,
I can't say that.
say what you want about Jordan Love. Say what you want about Jordan Love, but this is the youngest offense in football. And there are some plays. Let's say this: they were down 2 possessions in the fourth quarter, right? And they were kind of marching. They were in the red zone, and he missed Christian Watson by 5 yards on a throw. That's a throw you have to make.
That's a throw you got to make, especially for a guy that's been sitting for 3 years. You got to make it. But
then the next play, this is why it's so frustrating. But then the next play, he throws a dart right to Christian, right in the hands in double coverage, only where Christian Watson can get it, and Christian Watson drops it. The interception that was to Jaron Reed. I mean, that wasn't his fault at all. I mean, that just got snatched out of his hands. I mean, you got to come up with the football. Dontavian Wicks dropping the pass in the end zone. I mean, they're just there's so many drops in this offense.
You got to keep in mind what I said in the group chat, right? He doesn't have the luxury of it because, like I said, he sat for 3 years. They groomed him, right? So it's not like he's new to the system. He knows all the checks. He knows all the calls, right? It's growing pains because it's one thing to do this in practice against that defense where they're not going to hit you. Like you got that red jersey on, you're not getting touched, right? It's another thing when it's a live action game and the other team just sees green or white, and it's their job to hit you, right? It's like it's not going to be I have all day to go through my progression. Like he doesn't have the luxury of saying, "Hey, it's growing pains." He doesn't have that. Unfortunately,
he doesn't have. He should have the luxury of having a veteran wide receiver. If he did, I think it'd be a lot better for him if he had a veteran wide receiver on the team. And I think this was part of what Aaron Rodgers' struggles were last season. The wide receiver core was just too young. The offense was too young. They just weren't on the same page, and he wasn't ready. He wasn't willing to grow with them. And I think what Packer fans need to realize is that Jordan Love. You got if he is going to be the quarterback, you're going to have to surround him. Yeah, you got to get behind him. You have to. I mean, just like how Bears fans with Justin Fields,
got to get behind him.
You got to get behind him, and I don't think Jordan Love's going anywhere. I don't think even after this season, I don't think he's going anywhere. I think they'll give him one more year. I think what they'll do is they'll try and get him a veteran wide receiver. I think they'll try and get him a wide receiver in the draft. But I mean, when it comes down to it. When it comes down to it, I don't have any faith in the Green Bay Packers winning this game, even if it's at home.
You going with the Rams?
I'm going with the Rams. I think the passing game. I think Matthew Stafford plays the Packers really well. He's familiar with the team, and also, I mean, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp has had 2 bad weeks. This is the game in which Cooper Kupp gets back on track. Because you can't lack on neither one of those guys. Jair's gonna have to stick one of those guys, and if you stick one guy, I think the other guy is going to go off. Not to mention Tutu Atwell over the top. Not to mention Kyron Williams, one of the biggest weaknesses to the Green Bay Packers is trying to stop the run in the inside, and I think Kyron Williams is going to have a field day versus them. Give me the Los Angeles Rams to win this football game. I'm sorry.
You're saving grace. You're saving grace. The one thing that can keep you in it is your front. Like you still got Kenny Clark, you still got Preston Smith, you still got Rashawn Gary, who y'all just gave a massive extension to and is well deserved, right?
But we're not stopping the run this year at all, man. It's pretty bad.
But if you cause the Rams to get into like passing situations, it's because of those 3 guys doing their job up front, collapsing the pocket and making Stafford's life a living hell. You can do that. You can still do that.
We could, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're allowing 132 yards on the ground.
How do I have more faith?
Isn't that great?
How do I have more faith in them than you do? Like I'm seeing
it's because I'm not being biased here, man. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the big picture here. It's like as long as Joe Barry is the coach, as long as Joe Barry is still the coach they are not going to be a good defense. They just cannot get off the field on third down. They're probably one of the worst teams getting off the field on third downs. They're probably one of the worst teams in allowing chunk runs. This team is not what we thought it was going to be to start the season. And I think against the Rams, I think the Rams have more offensive firepower than what the Green Bay Packers are just going to be able to have defensively. And I think offensively, I just don't see it. Offensively, I think the Rams they'll do good things on defense. I mean, who's going to stop Aaron Donald against this offensive line? Who's going to guard Aaron Donald?
Nope.
Nobody.
It's going to be a two-man job, man.
Have trouble. They have trouble with everybody on that has a premier defensive pass rusher or a premier defensive lineman. They struggle with every single team that they have faced this season, and they're going against one of the best interior defensive linemen in football in Aaron Donald. So I got Los Angeles Rams.
It's safe to say you would have liked the Packers to be for the Packers to be active at the deadline, right?
Oh, absolutely. I would have. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were not in the NFC South picture, I think they would have got rid of one of those wide receivers. I think we would have been on the phone with one of those guys and trying to get Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. I don't care defensively; it is what it is. But I think our biggest need, in my opinion, was getting a veteran wide receiver. And I don't think I'm looking at a guy like Jalen Johnson who wanted to get out of Chicago. The Bears aren't going to trade Jalen Johnson to us. You know what I mean? Mid-season. Come on, you'd be out your damn mind if they're going to do something like that. Come on, man. So I think
anything. If anything, it's like what you call it. Everybody has a price. Like that's what I'm.
I would have liked for them to maybe get on the phone with maybe Washington and see if Terry McLaurin was available. To see if you get on the phone with New Orleans to see if Michael Thomas was available. Shit, I'm reaching here by saying Michael Thomas. Are you serious? Come on, man.
Okay.
You know what I mean, brother? So just to see them not do anything was a little disappointing, and it's all good because they're a 2-5 team.
It's frustrating, it's
frustrating, and you know what? I'm glad it's frustrating because you want to know something? They hopefully we'll get a top 3 pick and we can get Maserati Marv. Anyways, moving on to the next game, we got the Washington Commanders going against the New England Patriots here. How do you see this one shaking out? And that was actually, and by the way, go past. Shout out to the Washington Commanders for playing a hell of a game against the Philadelphia Eagles last week. I got to give them a damn shout out for that.
You can make the argument they should have won both games against Philly.
Yes.
This is what it looks like when new ownership comes into play, and I can't wait for that day in Chicago. Josh Harris and Magic Johnson ain't happy with the product that's been on the field, no matter how competitive they have looked. It ain't good enough. And they said, you know what? We didn't have these hitters on defense for years. We've grown this defense for years. And what good has it gotten us? We have Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Chase Young. We've built this from the ground up, and it hasn't gotten us anything. So Chase Young, you ain't had a good year since your rookie year. You also had some injury issues. You know what? Bye-bye. Montez Sweat, bye-bye. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, y'all gonna be the anchors of the defense for now. Right? And I got the notification. I don't know about you. I got the notification from Bleacher Report. Those trades, the Chase Young, Montez Sweat trade, that came from ownership. They played a big hand in that.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I got to talk to the Bears fans when I say this because the Bears fans are like, well, how the hell we gave up a second-round pick for Montez Sweat and we could have got Chase Young? Well, first of all, Chase Young barely been on the damn field. Right, one is more consistent than the other. One has played better than the other. When he's
Chase Young's 24, the other's 27. See, this is as a Bears fan, I can speak to this. This is one of my main issues with the fan base. There's no satisfying you ungrateful SOBs. There's no satisfying y'all. like they like this could be like if he don't sign long term and he won't, this could be another Chase Claypool situation. You can only say that because the Claypool trade didn't work out. Y'all wouldn't have said that if Claypool actually did his job and balled out.
Right. My thing with them getting Montez Sweat, it's a contract year for Montez Sweat. They got a bunch of money. They'll throw the bag at Montez Sweat. This defense, they gave a lot of money. They invested a lot in Jonathan Allen, and they invested a lot in Deron Payne. I think those are your two stalwarts right there. Defensively, I think you continue to build out. I think offensively, I think Eric Bieniemy has done a great job. Being the OC for that, and I think at this moment in time, I think these are Ron Rivera's last days as a Washington Commanders head coach. I think Eric Bieniemy is going to step.
Do they beat? Okay, so what happens if they lose this game? I mean, because like
I don't think they lose this game. I think they can go into. I think they go into New England and win this game.
Okay, so
I think they go into New England and win this game.
You got Washington win this. Okay,
I got Washington winning this game, man. I just think one thing about the New England Patriots, if they're not getting Ramondre Stevenson going early, they struggle, a little bit. But we'll see. The Patriots started off the season defensively. TJ, they started the season looking great, but then all those injuries start piling up. Christian Gonzalez looked great. The whole defense, the backfield looked great. Then all the injuries start piling up, and now they look horrible.
Hey, I'm with you, man. Like I think even without Young and Montez Sweat, I think Washington can raise enough hell, at least offensively. I think Sam Howell can go up to Foxborough and outdo Mac Jones. Like the question you talking about with Ron Rivera on his last days, they should be talking about that in New England. But we find out a couple weeks ago, prior to the season starting, Bill Belichick gets an extension. Like it's like,
I told you, Robert Kraft ain't let them go. He don't let him go. He's gonna be a New England lifer. I got the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I
got the Washington Commanders. Next game on the slate, we got the Chicago Bears going into the Bayou and facing the New Orleans Saints there down in the Little Caesars Superdome there. I don't know who's going to be the quarterback. Is Justin Fields back? Is Tyson Badger still going to be the quarterback? Bajan's still going to be the quarterback. How do you see this one shaking out?
Well, all I know is if the Bears see Rashid Shaheed on the field, safety over the top. For the love of God, if you're not going to generate pressure, because I don't expect Montez Sweat to play in this game. Hell, it's his first game with the new team. Don't expect him to play until at least the week 11. Don't expect him to play this game. Don't expect him to play Thursday night against the Panthers. Maybe. I don't know about that one. But if you see Rashid Shaheed over the top, on the field, whoever's corner, like whoever the DB is over him, shift the safety over. I don't care about anybody else on that field but him. No disrespect to Michael Thomas, but yeah, get Rashid Shaheed on the field. There's about an 80% chance that ball going deep. Right? Superdome is one of the toughest places to play in the NFL. The last time we played there, it was a playoff game, which we got all the wind knocked out of ourselves because Javon Williams dropped what would have been the easiest touchdown pass in his life. And it was just, that was also, I think, Mitch's last game as a Chicago Bear. That was like the end. That was like the beginning of the end for Matt Nagy and that regime. If you're Chicago, like you gotta. I don't know what more. I don't even know what to say at this point, dude. Like I really don't. Like when you have a coach that would rather kill a minute and 11 seconds in the Sunday night game. I understand that the game is over. It's 30-13, but you got that third down stop with a minute and 11 left, and you didn't call a timeout. You just let the clock run till about 22 seconds left. and the Chargers had to take the timeout to avoid the delay of game, and then you get on the field and you need the clock out just to end the game, dude, what kind of message are you sending to your team? You saw what I called Eberflus in the chat.
we can't repeat that here.
I can't repeat that on here. There's like, hey, for as much, again, here's this term. They're both Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde teams, right? They both have moments where they look like, hey, this is how you're supposed to look. And then the other side is, yo, what the hell are we watching? I trust the Saints more than I do my own goddamn team. I have no faith in them right now. But I will say this, that Sunday night broadcast taught me one thing. It is pretty goddamn evident and clear who they would rather coach, and it's absolutely effing disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when it comes down to the Bears, it's all about pride, man. I mean, defensively,
I say that all the time. Somebody got to give a damn.
Yeah, somebody got to give a damn. I know Jalen Johnson was frustrated, wants to trade out. Young man, you ain't getting traded, so you're gonna stay on these damn Bears and suck with us.
Hey, like you said, man. Hey, they got a boatload of money into the offseason.
Yeah,
he's gonna get this bread. That's what it's really all about.
And also, I mean, it's just like, well, let me just talk about this game. One thing I do think is that, you know, if we saw Austin Eckler do some things, we're gonna see Alvin Kamara definitely do some things against the Chicago Bears.
Come on, man.
But I mean, defensively, the Saints. The Saints led teams, sticking game. Well, I won't say sticking games, but I think Tyson Badgett, I mean, he did some things. I mean, Velus Jones.
Yeah, you got to catch that.
You got to catch that. Even if it's underthrown, that's what you're in the NFL for, is to catch that ball. And I think we've been.
David, I called you that. I'm sorry. Izzy, it was underthrown, and it still hit him in the chest, on the arms, in the hands.
And that was a big play too. That was a big play.
It's null and void. It's null and void.
Yeah,
because we still scored on that drive.
Mm-hmm.
But dude,
I totally agree. I think somebody got to give a damn. And when it comes to the Bears, I think you can't make excuses that Tyson Bagent, is a D3 or NAIA quarterback playing football in the NFL or whatever the case is. And I hope Bears fans really understand that I don't think it's quarterback play that's the problem, because Tyson Bagent has showed some good signs. Justin Fields has showed good progress as well this season. It all comes down to the damn play caller and Luke Getsy. It all comes down to the play calling on defense with Matt Eberflus. And I hope that Brian Poles and them, really realize that. I got the Saints winning though.
I do too. And I'll say this, like, prior to the thumb injury, for what it's worth, Fields was like top 5 in touchdown passes, and I want to say he was like top 6 in yards. So, like, to your point, the progress was there. It's just not resulting in the wins that we thought we'd have. Looking at the schedule, like, we should legit have at least 4 wins right now. Like, don't take this the wrong way. I feel like we should have beat y'all. The game plan was terrible. We should have beat y'all. We should have beat Denver. We should have beat Tampa. We should have beat Denver, and then we beat Washington, and then we beat Oakland. So technically, we should have like 5 wins right now.
Yeah, I think the outlier. I think the outlier out of those is the Packer game, because of how bad you guys got beat. But I think those other 2 games that were in grass. I mean, you had the lead on Denver. I think it was a 1-possession game against Tampa Bay. You're throwing 3 screenplays in a row. That's how
in a row.
That's how they get the interception.
In a row.
And I saw the whole game against Tampa. It was just a bad game plan by Luke Getsy for Justin Fields in the first place. So, anyways, moving forward, man, we got the Seattle Seahawks coming off their win against Cleveland, 24-20, going into Baltimore at M&T Bank Stadium to play the Baltimore Ravens, who are coming off winners of 3 in a row. Last win in the Big Toaster against Arizona Cardinals, 31-24. How do you see this one shaking out?
First off, that Ravens game against the Cardinals wasn't that close. There was a lot of garbage time scoring going on down there.
Absolutely.
This is gonna be fun. Like, you have a Seattle team who arguably have the best deep. Like, if they say we got the best DB core in the league, You can't look at them like they're crazy. Their receiving core is top 5, in my opinion. Their run game is underrated. They're coached excellently by Pete Carroll. They could very well go to Baltimore and win this game. Here's what separates the two. Hey Lamar, you gotta be MVP Lamar. You gotta show them why you were an MVP. And it's gotten to a point where yeah, you still feel Lamar's legs, but damn it, you gotta respect his arm. And I hate the fact that it took him getting traded to the other conference for him to get the recognition he so adequately deserved. But Roquan Smith is looking like a young Ray Lewis out there. He is flying everywhere to the ball. And Roquan Smith was never going to get the recognition he adequately deserved here in Chicago because Fred Warner plays his position in the same conference. Sucks that that's the case. At the end of the day, I trust Lamar Jackson to make a play that Geno Smith can't make. So give me the Ravens.
Yeah, man, give me the Ravens, man. You know, even against Cleveland, man. I mean, Geno Smith didn't even look well. I mean, he threw 2 bad picks.
That's also one of the top defenses in the league too. Now, like,
that is true. That I ain't gonna get. That's right. I'm not gonna hold it to him. I'm not gonna hold it against him, as well. But I mean, he has been turning the ball over a lot. You know, so far this year, and against this defense, who I mean, doesn't allow any red zone touchdowns whatsoever. You know, pretty much. I think all season. I mean, I can only count on one hand how many red zone touchdowns they've allowed. I think it's only been 1 or 2 on the season for the Baltimore Ravens, and I think this defense is actually finally come together after the last couple seasons with injuries and everything like that. I mean, obviously, man, they're a rushing team. The passing is starting to come along. Gus Edwards is a big. I think between Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, especially when you get down in the red zone, I mean, you have 3 guys that can really, punch it in. You know, Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, and I do think, I mean, Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's putting up stats this year that are close to his MVP year stats. And people he has gone so under the radar with that. It's crazy that a lot of people aren't talking about it. So yeah, I do like the Baltimore Ravens at home to pick up their 7th win this week. Next game on the slate, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into Houston to play the Texans and rookie CJ Stroud, who lost to the Carolina Panthers last week against another rookie godly. Anyways, so in Buffalo, Tampa Bay coming off with 3 losses in a row. Do you think they get off the schneid against the Houston Texans here?
I want to say yes. But I think D'Amico Ryan is just gonna get those boys out to play because again, you should have won that game against Carolina. Carolina's not better than you. There's nothing Carolina does.
Probably his best game.
They don't have the skill position guys, and that's saying something, right? Like Carolina's not better. Carolina's not better than you. Like now, but like you said, now that Tampa Bay didn't make any moves at the deadline, like I fully like if they weren't really in the NFC South picture, like you said, they'd have been massive sellers. I expected Vita Vea to be gone, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antoine Winfield Jr., one of the linebackers, Devin White, Levante David. But they're not. They didn't make any moves. They stood pat because they still have a shot at this thing. That being said, the front office is basically saying, all right, Todd, you convinced me not to do anything. You convinced me not to sell. Now reward. Here's your opportunity to reward your judgment. Tampa Bay they got to punch him in the mouth. They got to punch him in the mouth, and they got to do it early. They got to take that young team and just like demoralize them basically. So give me Tampa.
Man, yeah, man. Give me Tampa to come off the schneid going into Houston. I do think it will be close. This will be the third close game for Tampa Bay. Dropping a close one 16-13 at Atlanta, dropping a close one 24-18, where it came down to the last possession, the last throw. There, where I mean, oh my God, I never seen a Hail Mary like that in my life, where it was like all if Chris Godwin would look just one split second,
it just hit the ground.
It just hit the ground. I mean, if Chris Godwin would have looked just what split second to the left or the right, he would have caught that football and it would have been over with for the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. So yeah, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think get off the schneid in this one. I think they play good enough defense. But CJ Stroud has played like a veteran quarterback, 1,800 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. Baker Mayfield has played well as well, 10 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. And like I said, if they were not in the thick of things in the NFC South, which is very woeful, I think that they would have been big sellers, but they keep all their guys there. And I think that they still think that they can win the NFC South. So give me Tampa Bay to come off the schneid against the Houston Texans. Next game we got on the slate, the Indianapolis Colts, the Gardner Minshew led Indianapolis Colts going into into the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, Bank of America Stadium, because I was going to say M&T Bank, but that's Baltimore. Going into Bank of America Stadium. Yes, it is still Bank of America Stadium to face the Bryce Young-led Carolina Panthers. Man, it looks like Miles Sanders is being phased out as the running back. That is sad. Paid him money, got paid there to be the number one guy in Carolina. It looks like Chuba Hubbard is going to be pretty much the number one guy there in Carolina. But how do you see this one shaking out between Indianapolis and Carolina? Who Indianapolis surprisingly 3-5 on the season. They'd lost 3 in a row. But I mean, they've been in pretty much most of the games, all 3 of those games, except for the Jacksonville game. So the last 2 games, one against Cleveland, the other one against New Orleans. How do you see this one shaking out?
Well, it pays when you have a backup with starter, starter roles, like starter minutes, I guess you could say in basketball terms. Like, you got to keep in mind, Gardner Minshew was an NFL starter for like 2 years until they got Trevor Lawrence. Gardner Minshew is not a bum. Gardner Minshew is not a bad quarterback. Gardner Minshew would start on plenty of teams across the NFL, right? And your team would look more than serviceable with him at the helm. That's why they're 3-5 in these games, because that's just the quality of coaching. Like, obviously, the plays you call for Anthony Richardson, you are not calling for Gardner Minshew, right? You are not calling the QB draw for 6'1", 2 whatever Gardner Minshew. He'd get killed. That being said, they had a game against the Saints. You were up 2 scores. And again, like I said, all it takes is one deep shot. Rashid Shaheed over the top. Back in it. Boom. Give me the Colts, because I just don't think this is another one of those games. The Panthers just don't have enough horses. Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce. I forgot who they tight end is, but he's pretty solid. Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, give me the Colts.
Kylan grandson. Mo Alley Cox.
Yeah.
Hopefully they got a couple of them, but I think grandson has been the majority. He's been getting majority of the reps in Indy. But yeah, no, I agree with you, man. Give me the Indianapolis Colts, man. I think they'll have enough to beat the Carolina Panthers. I think one of the issues that the Carolina Panthers, has is being able. Yeah, it's consistent, playing consistent. I mean, they're a hell of a team. I mean, defensively, especially in the defensive backfield. They can make things difficult by getting after the passer. But when it comes to stopping the run, I think the Indianapolis Colts, that'll be the formula for them. To win this game is to get after it on the ground and set up that play action pass with Gardner Minshew. So give me the Indianapolis Colts to beat the Carolina Panthers. Next game we got on the slate is the New York Giants going into the Death Star and playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders coming off a very, very tough loss this past Monday going up against the Detroit Lions and the New York Giants having a close one in shootout. A shootout against the Jets. I'm just playing. It wasn't a shootout, ladies and gentlemen. 13-10 in overtime. Where I think, man, golly, that game was like, man, they could neither team could complete a third down. And
they were 3 for 32. They were a combined 3 for 32 on third down. The Jets and the Giants were, man. Like,
incredible.
It was ugly, man. All right. One thing I will say before I make a pick is, so I don't know what's going on with the Giants, but apparently the training staff cleared Daniel Jones. They cleared Daniel Jones to play in the game. Here's the problem, Izzy. Brian Daboll didn't find out till after the game. Yeah, well, think about that. Like, let that register, let that marinate. Your starting quarterback.
That's news to me. You just gave me news to me, and that shows me two things. One thing that came from ownership to not tell Brian Daboll that Daniel Jones wasn't. And then another thing was is that even though he was medically cleared by the medical staff, even the medical staff thought that it was too early. They knew Brian Daboll was going to put Daniel Jones in the game, and they thought it was probably too early for them to put Daniel Jones.
So that's both, like, that's the two sides of the coin. And now you're asking Giants fans to basically pick which side of the coin is more believable. Like, do you think that they hid this info from Brian Daboll because had he known he was cleared, he'd put him out there? Or do you think ownership or management came down, got the news, and said, "Don't tell Daboll"? You see the conundrum? I wish I was privy to I wish I could get New York media, bro, because I guarantee you they are having an absolute field day with this if it's true.
Well, I think when it comes down to it, that's a neck injury, and this game is violent, and you're one hit always away from being in a hospital bed for the rest of your life. So my thing is I think the ownership and the medical staff was protecting Daniel Jones in this situation. Now that Brian Daboll knows that he's a starter, now it comes down to the point where who's playing better? Is it Tyrod Taylor or Daniel Jones? Well, obviously, this is a good game to put Daniel Jones in, right?
Oh, you couldn't ask for
because I think this is a game that you can actually win, and he can actually get his mojo back. He hasn't played well at all. He's been the most hit quarterback, this season by far. He's got 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions on the year. If there's a game where Daniel Jones could get his mojo back, get his confidence back, it's this one against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said,
are you picking the Raiders?
I'm actually going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders to still win this football game, just because of the fact that how well that defense has been playing, and Max Crosby is going to have a field day against that offensive line. And it doesn't matter if Tyrod Taylor it does matter, because I think Tyrod Taylor do a little bit better than Daniel Jones. But, just because Daniel Jones has not been in a good groove at all this season. But I think Max Crosby against that offensive line is going to be a nightmare for the New York Giants.
Man, nothing I'm seeing out of the Raiders is inspiring. The one thing I will do that I didn't touch on when we broke down the Monday night game is they were kind of able to get Josh Jacobs going a little bit. He got a touchdown, and hopefully, I think that's the only way they win is if they parlay. Like, you got to get him going, right? You get him going first. That opens up everything else, because you're asking the Giants, who just traded Leonard Williams away to Seattle, right? So, like, now Dexter Lawrence don't have his running mate with him no more. Like, if you get Josh Jacobs established, then the Raiders could win this game. Honestly, I think this. Yeah, I'm with you. Give me the Raiders. I don't like the quarterback situation in New York. Give me the Raiders.
It's a tough one, man. But yeah, give me the Raiders. Like I said, man, I think this is a game in which, Jimmy Garoppolo, him and Devontae Adams better get on page. It could get ugly, but I think they do get on page. But I think Max Crosby is the key in this game. I think the Las Vegas Raiders defense as a whole is a key in this game. Moving on to probably the game of the week between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, both coming out. Yeah, the next two games are the games of the week, right? Dallas Cowboys coming off an incredible manslaughter against the Los Angeles Rams, and the Philadelphia Eagles coming off a close one in which they should have lost probably to the Washington Redskins. Both quarterbacks played well. Yeah, both quarterbacks played well in both of those games. And AJ Brown continues his onslaught. I mean, if Tyreek Hill is the number one best wide receiver in the NFL, I think AJ Brown is right there behind him. Yeah, it's 1A because he's had what 6 games? 6 games, I think, over 125 yards on the 6 straight games with over 125 yards in the season. So how do you see this one? And I think that might be a record, if I'm not mistaken. How do you see this one shaking out?
Cowboys at Eagles. It's gonna be hostile at the gate. I legit think the first 10. I see you looking down the phone. You following the World Series, ain't you? I know.
I'm listening to you.
I think the first 10 minutes gonna dictate this game. Well, at least the flow of the game, I should say. This is where I think this is legit where you kind of miss Trayvon Diggs. Not saying that you were going to stop AJ Brown. Your only hope is to contain him, and containing AJ Brown is 80 to 100 yards. That's slowing down AJ Brown, bro. Like at this point, right? That's also why you trade for Stephon Gilmore. Deron Bland has sort of come into his own since the Trayvon Diggs injury, and you love to see that. Give me the Eagles, mostly because they're at home. I expect it to be a close game, but this is why I like why the Cowboys played the Rams the way that they did. Right? They went in, they handled their business, they sent a message. They ain't play around with LA and let them hang around. Like you said, they got up, they got in their ass, and it's like, hey, all right, own the Philly. Bigger things at hand here. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, give me the Eagles. Mostly because they can hurt you in so many different ways, man.
Mm-hmm. Like even when you think they're down, man, they hurt you. They still have a way to come back and win.
It's like you want to play ground and pound. All right, we can do that. Like we can death by 1,000 cuts with DeAndre Swift. We can do that, bro. You want to do a shootout? Hey, we trust Jalen Hurts with his arm now. We can do that. Mm-hmm. All right, you want to go tit for tat? You want to go CeeDee Lamb versus AJ Brown? You want to go Devontae Smith versus whoever the hell else is the number 2 in Dallas? You want to go Dallas Goedert versus Jake Ferguson? Hey, let's play ball. We can do it. Jalen versus Dak. Let's play ball. We can do that. Philly is more than capable of handling. When we did the season preview for both teams, I expected a home and home split anyway. So yeah.
I agree, man. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are pretty damn good at home. Albeit, and I think they haven't lost a game at home, by the way. I know that loss to New York was a little bit of an outlier. I think that, a physical team in New York, they kept it close, and that wasn't Philly's best game. I mean, what we saw the two weeks after that, right, against Miami, against Washington, that's how Philly plays.
But I think you also got to keep in mind like the Jets had a guy in Sauce Gardner who can match physicality with AJ Brown. Had Jalen Ramsey been available, I wholeheartedly think Jalen Ramsey could have matched AJ Brown's physicality tit for tat, right? I don't see that kind of guy on the Cowboys. Now, don't get me wrong, Stephon Gilmore is going to the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. I don't think he's a quote unquote physical corner. Am I wrong with saying that? Am I wrong in that
No,
assessment?
no, you're not wrong with saying that. You're not wrong with saying that at all.
Yeah,
So
give me the Eagles, man.
yeah, give me the Eagles. Give me the Eagles to win that game as well. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, we got the Buffalo Bills going into Cincinnati and playing going against the Bengals. How do you see this one shaking? Both teams coming off wins. Yeah, albeit controversial for the Buffalo Bills, who 2 weeks in a row have kind of looked a little dysfunctional
Average.
offensively. Yeah, very average. And
Average.
then going against the Cincinnati Bengals team where Joe Burrow looks healthy, where
They
Jamar Chase looks like they're
hitting their
insane,
stride, man.
hitting a stride.
Hitting
Two
their
good
stride.
wins against Seattle last week at San Francisco.
Yeah,
So how do you see this one shaking out?
yeah. Cool. Again, this is Buffalo made a trade. I don't expect that trade piece to play in this game, especially since he just played it. He just got there. Um, I kind of wish they made this move before the deadline, so he could have already been there if they were going to make this move. But trading for Rasul Butler is huge. Rasul Douglas, I'm sorry. Trading for
Mm-hmm.
Rasul Douglas is huge. Um, whew, this is one of those games where it's like Buffalo's kind of Buffalo got two boogeymen. They got the Cincinnati Bengals and they got the Kansas City Chiefs as boogeymen, and it sucks. Like it really does because Josh Allen is now in Phillip Rivers territory. Phillip Rivers was a great quarterback. Phillip Rivers with those Charger teams was winning 10, 11, 12 games more often than not. The issue was when his teams were good, he ran into a Tom Brady, he ran into a Big Ben, he ran into a Joe Flacco, and they sent his ass home. He ran into a Peyton Manning, and they sent his ass home. Josh Allen is now kind of going through the same thing, right? You'll beat a Skylar Thompson. You will beat a what the hell is his name? You'll beat a Ryan Tannehill, right? But then you go up against a Pat Mahomes and you lose. Same thing. You go up against a Joe Burrow and you lose, right? This is kind of one of those. This is one of those boogeyman games for the Buffalo Bills, and I love the way they look. I love the way the Bengals looked in San Fran. Give me the Bengals to keep the momentum going, man. Joe Burrow looking great.
Yeah, man. Give me yeah, exactly, man. Give me the Bengals, even though I think the Buffalo Bills are favored in this game. Well, amongst other people, but I think the line is for Cincinnati, so Cincinnati is favored at home. But yeah, give me the Cincinnati Bengals to win. I think Joe Burrow. He was. I mean, when he started scrambling last week, I said, "Oh yeah, he's healthy.
Yeah.
He's
Bro,
looking fully healthy."
I said the same thing. He took off, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm like, ah,
Yeah, that's Joe Burrow. That's the Joe Burrow we know, picking up first downs. And going against a defense like the San Francisco 49ers, I mean, that's no slouch defense. I like the way Joe Burrow's been playing. And with Josh Allen, I mean, he's been privy to just make some bad decisions throwing the football. I know that, it's not all on the wide receivers. It's on, some of his decision making and some of the accuracy issues that he has. For Josh Allen. So if he can tighten that up, I mean, we all know he's a hell of a quarterback, one of the best in the league. But give me the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this is gonna be a close one, but I like the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game. And then the last game on the slate, Monday Night Football, the Los Angeles Chargers going into New York to face the Jets, who have been winning of lately, coming off a close win against their New York counterparts in the Giants. And the Chargers coming off a win in LA against the Chicago Bears. How do you see this one playing out? And the Jets, by the way, have won 3 in a row, beating Denver at Denver, Philly at home, and New York on the road. Well, pretty much a home game.
okay, Chargers, right? You went up against a team that couldn't generate any pressure on you. So Jared, Justin Herbert had all day in that pocket to, call the lady, order some wings, call the OC and tell him, "Hey man, the next 5 plays, I want this, and this." I don't expect that to happen against the Jets. The Jets can't. I expect the Chargers to win, but I don't expect it to be as easy as last Sunday was for the Chargers. So give me the Chargers by a touchdown.
Man, give me the Chargers as well, man. I do think it'll be, tough for, a couple quarters, but I just don't. This offense from the New York Jets is just holding on by a thread. I mean, Zach Wilson still isn't able to move the football for them. If it isn't for Breece Hall, this offense wouldn't even have a pulse, on the team. So yeah, give me the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a game. I mean, in the Chargers, they're 3-4. They're better than 3-4, honestly. I mean, you lose a close one to Dallas, 20-17. You lose to the Kansas City Chiefs 31-17 2 weeks ago. And those are 2 games that you probably should have won, right? So, you look at this, you look at this, yeah.
That's also the issue with the Chargers, right? That goes back into Brandon Staley and his coaching. There were rumblings of Brandon Staley getting his pink slip had they lost to the Bears. That don't come out.
I don't blame him.
That don't come out of thin air, right? That don't like that. They don't just make that up. Like the stuff Chris Collinsworth was saying about Tyson Bagent and Fields. You heard that from somebody. You ain't gonna say who, because as a journalist, you ain't gonna out your sources. But you heard that from somebody. So
I don't blame them. I don't blame them if they would have lost to the Bears. I don't blame them for losing for firing Brandon Staley. I mean, some of his decisions are very suspect. I mean, if you look at it, outside of the Kansas City Chiefs game, this Los Angeles Chargers team should have probably beat Miami in week 1. They should have beat Tennessee. They lost to them in overtime by 3. They lost to the Dallas Cowboys by 3. I mean, this team very much could be 6-1 right now. So one of the best teams in the AFC. So they're very much underperforming. I like this game just because of the fact that Jets defense is just a similar thing, and how what the Raiders ran into this past Monday night is that defense is going to be on the field too long, and this offense is just too damn good to try and stop every single possession without any type of rest.
I think that's what's going to happen. I don't trust the Jet offense to
sustain drives.
Yeah, to sustain enough drives to give that defense enough of a breather. And I think, again, like we say all the time, eventually the dam breaks. And yeah,
eventually the wheels fall off when it comes down to it. So I got the Los Angeles Chargers, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know in the comment section who you guys like this week, as that's a wrap for our week 9 predictions coming with you. I think Thursday, David might be back here with the addition of the crossover, and I'll be back here on Friday with College Football Showdown. But go ahead, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast at Prime Sports World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And in case you missed us, you can catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard. As Prime Sports World brings the heat 24/7, baby. Yes, sir.
We're going to need it, and
we're going to need it because it's cold as hell out here in Chicago.
I got to hit the road. I got to go to O'Hare. I got to pick somebody up.
He's got to hit the road. Hey, and in case I missed you, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Holla at your boy. See you later, and we'll come back here tomorrow with Fantasy Football Weekly with me.
Fantasy.
He said fantasy. Peace out, TJ. Have a good night at work.
And the Rangers are up 3-1. They just got the final out.
The Rangers are looking to close out that series at home. No, they got one more game in Arizona. So
do they do a 2-3-2?
Yeah, they do 2-3-2. It's 2-3-2 in the World Series.
That's trash. Yeah. That's trash.
2-3-2.
But I'll let you, man.
All right. Peace out, guys. Have a good